Now, I talked in my introduction about how today was going to focus on technology for a better world and how we were going to talk about digital tools and digital processes and how those were in service of inclusivity and diversity. And that's all going to be especially evident in this next session. Now, this next set of speakers, they're here to talk to us about how inclusivity comes from making products with communities, not just for them, and what it means to build a more equitable approach to the outdoors. So, to get a grounding in all of that, before I welcome the speakers on, here's a short video. If you can roll that for us, Brooke.
Outdoor Afro celebrates and inspires Black leadership and connections in nature. I wanted to know, if people weren't getting outside, what were some of the barriers? In the top 5 was gear and equipment. And I knew from my own experiences that I had a hard time finding clothing that fit my body and that I also felt good in. And this was our moment. And I'm really grateful.
Okay, awesome. So you're going to meet in a second. You're going to meet Rue, who you saw in that video. So Rue Mapp, who is the founder and CEO of national not-for-profit called Outdoor Afro, and you're going to meet 2 folks from REI who were involved in bringing this new collection to life. So I want to welcome on Rue. Hi, Rue. Nice to meet you. And I want to bring on as well Katharine Fuller, who's director of product development for Softgoods at REI, and Isabelle Portilla, who's VP of Co-op Brands at REI. I didn't know whether it was Portilla or Portilla, so I went with my gut. Okay, excellent. Now, these folks are going to lead a session, and they're going to talk to you about the particular collection that you've seen kind of showcased in that video and around the process. I'm going to dip out, but then I'm going to come back on a little later because I've got some additional questions of my own that I'd like to ask them. But for now, I'm very happy to get out of the way and hand you over to what I think is going to be a fascinating session.
Wonderful. Well, thank you so much for that generous introduction. I can't wait for our conversation after we spend some time sharing with you who we are and what we were able to accomplish together over the last few years. So my name is Rue Mapp. I'm the founder and CEO of Outdoor Afro org, as well as the for-profit Outdoor Afro Inc. And the seeds of the organization started as a personal blog in 2009 to show and tell an empowered story of Black Americans in nature. And I started sharing my own family history that was steeped in generational nature connections. But I found that there was a persistent myth, double down with the reality of Jim Crow laws in the United States that indeed limited and excluded Black people from accessing public lands, pools, and recreation areas. But there was also a narrative of persistence to connect to nature that my community demonstrated time and again. And I wanted more people to know about that. And it fueled my desire to grow an organization on a new narrative of empowerment, connection, and healing in nature. So that lovely blog grew into a national staff, not-for-profit in 2015, where I was able to teach everyday people the skills and know how to lead and inspire their communities to connect to nature at scale. And one of my earliest partners, starting in 2012, to achieve this program outcome was REI, with whom I developed a multifaceted relationship with through marketing and program activations over the years. And through our storied partnership, it helps support Outdoor Afro to grow. And today, we are present as a nonprofit organization in 30 states, and we now connect more than 60,000 participants annually into a wide variety of outdoor experiences and millions more through inspirational media. And, through my broad engagement over the years with outdoor industry brands and, coupled with my personal background with sewing and clothing design, I was also learning firsthand about the gaps in outdoor gear accessibility. And this was not just about cost. It was about marketing, fit, style, function, and comfort to address the emerging demand and specific needs of the growing Black outdoor enthusiast market. and really thought about how we could better embed welcoming into this growing market segment through design. Over to you, Isabelle.
Thank you, Rue. REI started as a different kind of company, and we still are. We started with 23 climbing partners, united around their passion for the outdoors and their desire to help others get outside. Being dissatisfied with ice axes available to them, they formed their own co-op so they could buy quality gear at a reasonable price. As time went on and more people joined, the co-op grew from those 23 founding members to millions. Today, REI is the largest consumer cooperative in the US and still owned by its members. We believe time outside is fundamental to a life well lived. We exist to inspire and enable life outside for everyone, and our mission is to connect every person to the power of the outdoors and engage them in the fight to protect it. We view the role of our own brand as the tangible expression of the co-op's purpose and the catalyst for industry-wide collaboration and change. We do this through modeling what is possible and asking the industry to come along with us in regard to our sustainability and impact commitments. We feel it's our responsibility as a convener of our industry's best brands to partner in service of innovation and progress to create a positive impact to people and the planet.
So in 2018, I approached REI leadership with a pretty bold and initial conversation about the idea of a clothing collaboration, bringing together the community I had curated with what I had come to appreciate about REI's high quality product standards. So by 2020, I partnered with veteran outdoor gear designer Tay Kim to create the for-profit Outdoor Afro Inc. and brainstorm together new designs informed by my growing up in the 80s and 90s hip hop styles and bold colorways. And later that same year, REI said yes to invest in bringing to life a 22-piece hike collection with an ambitious launch for the fall of 2022. I have to say, the process was so enriched and intentionally scaled to a small, focused working cohort from the REI team who brought expertise, patience, knowledge, and excitement throughout the process. And I recognize how much they had invested deeply as an entire company in my big vision, and my gratitude and joy was and still remains a strong current throughout this whole experience. And I'm just constantly encouraged, and if you want to hit the next slide, about how much trust was always in the room.
Thank you, Rue. I echo that sentiment and I'm grateful for it. Our collab with Outdoor Afro, as Rue mentioned, built on a 13-year relationship that really was aimed at accelerating progress against our own racial equity and diversity priorities as an organization, and in honor of that trust and relationship with Outdoor Afro. The collaboration has served as a mechanism for us to test and scale shifts to our organizational culture, our mindsets, and behaviors. From the outset of the collaboration, we agreed to leverage inclusive design principles, building product alongside the Outdoor Afro community and with our current and future members. We committed to insights-led design and strategy, correcting for barriers before they occurred, taking a co-creative approach to unlocking new opportunities for innovation and progress that really met the needs of the Black community. We aim to integrate learnings back into the business, leveraging those insights to make progress against our product impact standards and to support cultural shifts within the ways we work and to scale our inclusive design practices across our co-op. We shared a commitment to trust, transparency, and cooperative impact, and we align to support and advance economic development opportunities for Black founders within the outdoor industry, which ultimately informed a respectful and fair business agreement And this collaboration was designed from the very beginning to provide Outdoor Afro Inc. with real economic revenue that they could begin to build their for-profit business. Outdoor Afro Inc. and REI worked closely with the Black community to understand product needs, connecting with the community and enabling us to identify unmet needs and barriers. All of the research from strategy to design and the fit work we did on this collection was co-created and co-concepted by Outdoor Afro Inc. and our REI team. Every step of the product creation process was truly collaborative. The voices and perspectives of the Black community told us through our research that inclusive fit, bold and expressive color and style, as well as product solutions that uniquely address the needs of the Black community would be the point of difference in launching what would be a truly meaningful and resonant collection. And while we focused on the Black community for this product, we do believe that many of the problems we're solving, like fit, are universal, making better product for everyone and enabling more people to get outside.
Hi, yes. So as Isabelle already laid out, fit was a really important factor in this collaboration. And so I'll talk a little bit about the fit strategy that we took. And with it, we had one big question in the room. How do we want to address fit? And do we need new blocks? You know, they're taller, they're curvier. So many opinions, lots of assumptions, but based on those, we just didn't feel comfortable writing or crafting a fit strategy on that. Or what we think we might know about, you know, what the fit should be. So really what we needed was answers to two very critical questions. Does size and body shape differ for the Black community? And does the REI standard serve the Black community? To get answers to these questions, we turned to Alvanon, a trusted partner in the industry and one I have been relying on for over 20 years now. We asked them to break down our previous 2014 study that informed our REI standard into a BIPOC view. So not only for the Black community, but really looking at all of the other communities as well. Alvanon included approximately 150,000 data points in that study and making sure that it represented all BIPOC segments appropriately when compared to US Census data. In the image below or on the slide, you'll see, you know, just one small example of the information we received from Alvanon. It is important to mention that our request was the first of its kind for the Alvanon team. And the results we were receiving were very reassuring. It basically told us our current size standard and body standard is still durable. And the study also confirmed that we are covering the BIPOC community from a size range and by size standard, while also providing us with a few opportunities that we can leverage in the future. And for this collaboration specifically, we learned that our existing standard will adequately cover the body's shape and measurements for the Black community. So taking away all those assumptions that we initially had. But what the study didn't completely cover was question 2, does the REI standard serve the Black community? For that, we really needed a few more answers. We needed to know ease over body and customer fit preferences. And with that, we turned to do a little more research. And we sent samples of the core product to the Outdoor Afro team and set up listening sessions, so we could hear the challenges they face, and we can learn what works, but more importantly, what needed to change. This in itself was a powerful moment for the team, hearing that feedback directly. Now that we had, you know, the in-depth data and a vast amount of insights, we now were equipped to really write a fit strategy with confidence and building on our existing one and making it more inclusive. So in that, we addressed ease over body and fit preferences, which speak directly to comfort and functionality of a product. So for example, women's tops needed more room in the chest. Jackets should cover the rear for both men's and women's. And hoods they should have silky, smooth liners to protect their textured hair and be a bit more generous, allowing just more room for the higher volume hair. You can see that in that imagery below as well. And we wanted also to make sure we have some fit process inclusion. We invited the Outdoor Afro team to our fit sessions so they can actively participate and let us know if indeed we're solving the challenges they face. We hired fit models and field testers representing the Black community. See that field tester in that very right photo? With that, we wanted to make sure that we invite those Black voices throughout the process and executing with them and for them. We also embedded 3D prototyping into our process to vet design and color options and potential fit issues. At the time, you have to remember when we did the work, we still had to work around COVID restrictions and all our meetings were conducted virtual. And so the 3D was highly effective for quick decision-making and focused prototyping. So in summary, grounding ourselves in that data allowed us to set that clear, informed fit strategy, which then empowered the team to move to action, to grow and learn in the process, and just be able to deliver great product on a condensed timeline, as Rue already had mentioned earlier. And with that, it's also needless to say, right, that our fit strategy didn't go back to pre-Outdoor Afro collaboration. Everything that we have learned and applied during this collaboration remains firmly embedded and is our standard now. For me personally, being part of this work was one of the most rewarding experiences of my career, and I'm forever grateful to have had this opportunity.
Okay, y'all are giving me all the feels again. I think we have a video, and I guess I'll tee it up with a few words that, first of all, the creative support and leadership offered from REI. Scott Mosier, if you're out there, just thinking about you, and just you're such an incredible creative heartbeat throughout the process. And so here we have a video that captures some of his work and just a sample, like a little sample of the flavor of our joyous collaborative design process. I hope you'll enjoy, and I hope you'll be inspired to buy some gear.
Dun, dun, dun. We are behind the scenes.
Outdoor Afro celebrates and inspires Black leadership and connections in nature. When I started doing this work, I uncovered so many facets of Black joy in nature that I felt and I had a knowingness about. I knew that I didn't see a lot of people out there who looked like me in the media. Strong, beautiful, free in the outdoors. I didn't see it. So Outdoor Afro kind of set about to be a way to tell a new story through images, a new story through other people's narratives, and just curate a whole new reality that Black people could see themselves in nature. The feeling of freedom, the feeling of being self-expressed is something that has continued to unfold in the work of Outdoor Afro and in the people who participate in our community. I wanted to know, if people weren't getting outside, what were some of the barriers, right? And in the top 5 was gear and equipment. And I knew from my own experiences that I had a hard time finding clothing that fit my body and that I also felt good in. Because, I want to have clothes that will do the job. My relationship with REI started back in 2013. And since then, I would say it's been so much more than just a business partnership. REI has been involved in our work, deeply influencing us, and we were influencing them.
My name is Nate Edwards. I am a film director and multidisciplined artist. Without a seat at the table with companies like REI, it's hard to make things that are tailored to our community, to our needs, to our wants. So partnerships like this is extremely important.
My name is Isabelle Portilla. I'm the Divisional Vice President of Product Strategy and Design at the Co-op. One of the biggest gifts of working with Outdoor Afro was Rue at the beginning of the work challenging us to change. Listening to new people, sharing the balance of power has been, for me, as a leader, one of the most inspiring parts of this work.
I think that the REI and Outdoor Afro collaboration is so important because it's recognition. I feel like we're being seen.
But I love the color scheme. I love everything about the color scheme. Also the jacket, this fits really comfortably. As a woman with hips and curves, it's not something that I feel like is too tight or too suffocating, but really fluid, moves with me.
I am just so thankful for this moment for people to see themselves in those products, feel good about those products, and be able to realize whatever their goals are, wherever their true north is, in the outdoors and in nature. I always say that change only happens at the speed of relationships. You know, there's no way we could have gotten to this place without the underpinning of like all the years of doing things together and learning from each other. And this was our moment. This is our moment. And we said yes to each other. And I'm really grateful.
That video never gets old.
Oh, it never does. And every time I get a little teary.
Right?
It was a weird time, middle of COVID. Like there was so much going on in the world. And this little microcosm of work we did felt like the answer. And for that, I'm still eternally grateful, Rue. Like every time I see your face, it just brings back all the joy. There's a lot of love packed into what we're sharing today. You know, I think the most important thing for all of us as one team, really, with a shared vision, was to share the key takeaways that we got out of this collaboration, because it's something that we've carried with us and the way we all do our work, the way we think about our business, the way we make product. And we hope that it's something that can, you know, change the dynamics in the industry and change the way people consider how they approach designing for everyone. So some key takeaways are really the right conditions and commitment really does enable permission. And we set out from the very beginning of this work with organization-wide commitment to inclusivity, which really empowered our teams to move to action. We weren't afraid to make mistakes. We weren't afraid to break things in service of doing the right thing, which I think really was what created a great experience for the Outdoor Afro team and gave them the trust that they needed in that room for us to do the work. And gave us the trust too, right? It really lowered the barriers. We quickly learned the importance of having relevant voices in the room, and that immediately showed us we needed to give ourselves permission to break all pre-existing notions that didn't serve this unique effort. And we held that commitment even when it got hard. Secondly, learning, listening, and adapting is completely part of the work. We didn't rely on what we knew. We recognized that our expertise had to take a back seat to lived experiences to truly inform the strategic direction. We leveraged research and data in service of new perspectives that allowed us to move quickly to new ideas and processes and even new approaches to how we would create the product. And lastly, to echo Rue, trust must be in the room. At REI, we've been working really hard to embed inclusive design thinking into our design practices. We worked with an awesome partner before we launched this collection called Equitably Designed. That really helped us get an education on learning this concept of never for us without us. This is now how we approach everything we do and a commitment we aim to take in product creation. We first consider the who and ask ourselves if we authentically represent the needs of our customer before we design. This collaboration with Outdoor Afro Inc. really gave us the opportunity to test that notion and now have the confidence to scale that inclusive design approach across our product creation engine. And with that inclusive approach in mind, we consistently inspected representation throughout this entire collection, from concept to commercialization, design, development, and launch. Every touch point of this work had representation at the center. And we understood the impact that that would drive and also the relevancy that would drive with our customers at the end of the day. Our work on the collection has been both acknowledged in industry and press in terms of our leadership in inclusivity and our commitment to an authentic expression of Black joy. So we're grateful that that came through. It was our intent. And not only that, but our launch yielded 3 times the conversion with Black audiences that compared to our co-op average. And we also generated 3,000 new members at first launch. So it was a really sort of validating experience at that launch moment to see those folks we had built this product for come to the co-op. And then lastly, just to share, this collection in so many ways has changed all of us as people. It's changed us as leaders, and it's changed the conversation in the industry, which is why we're here with you today. And if that enables more people to experience the power of the outdoors, then for that, we're really very proud.
Wow. Yeah. Well, for me, there's just so much more we could talk about. But I would say the anchor points were specificity and relationship. And we know that the most satisfying relationships of any kind take time and have a bedrock of trust. You keep hearing that word, trust. It's real. And we also, got really specific and focused on the Black community. And that specificity actually address universal needs. So I would just offer to anyone, if you can invest right now with the specific intention in the kinds of relationships and collaborations that you want for the design future, do it. And specifically for the depth and sophistication of innovative design outcomes the world will always need. So I'm thankful to REI. Thank you, Alvanon and the 3D Tech Fest for the opportunity to share and bring the story to real life, a story of really love and trust and innovation and the design that the world needs right now.
Folks, thank you for that. The video was inspiring. Everything else that was built around it was inspiring. The conversation was. I'm going to be really selfish. I'm going to ask you guys some questions here for 2 reasons, really. One, because I think this particular collection and everything we've just heard about it should be a standard bearer for a more broader consideration about how we as an industry think about inclusivity and how we celebrate closing those different gaps in accessibility that were just spoken about. And 2, because those are gaps that I've not experienced firsthand, because I'm part of a cohort that for too long just gets included by default. So selfishly, I want to hear a bit more about what it means for new voices, new communities to be brought in, seen, and empowered through design and through technology, and a bit about the practicalities of extending some of those possibilities from here and addressing some of those universal needs that Rue just talked about. So none of these questions are to any of you in particular. Whoever wants to take a run at them is very welcome to. The first one would be, what makes this collection unique, not just from a finished product proposition, but from the perspective of how you actually built it and the processes you used in collaboration? So kind of what tools and processes did you employ? Did they differ in any way from REI's traditional approach? Because you mentioned kind of challenging and revalidating fit assumptions with Alvanon. Was there anything else that you found that you needed to approach differently?
Yeah, I might take that one, and then Rue, if you want to add in. I will always remember the first conversation I had the joy of having with Rue. And I, of course, knew who she was, but had never been face-to-face with her. And we talked about the possibility of a collaboration, and she said, I'm really excited to do this. I just want you to know I'm only going to do it if we do it right. And I keep those words with me still to this day, because that experience was really, for my own personal self-reflection, a moment to pause and say, well, what does that mean? And is the process that we currently have going to feel right? And it was very clear, very immediately, that that answer was no. And so the answer to your question, Ben, is every part of the process was completely reformed. We followed the same traditional product creation sort of flow in a very condensed timeline. What we did do was we removed decision makers and stakeholders from our cross-divisional relationships within our organization and made it just about our own strategic business leadership and Rue and her team. So it was like the Outdoor Afro experience, what they wanted to bring to the table, their perspective, and then our business know-how about what our customer currently likes, what sells well for us, and we blended those two things. But everything from the way we brief the product, the way we design the product, the way we prototyped, fit the product, the way we came up with our go-to-market strategy, the teams we hired to do the creative direction, the teams we hired to shoot the creative content and launch the marketing, and then the teams we activated that marketing with were not the teams we use on a normal basis. And what it did was, one, reshape every process we have to be more centered on inclusive design and considering the who, as I mentioned, but also it's opened this incredible network of talent into our organization that we now continue to leverage for other things.
That's a fantastic answer. Thank you, Isabelle. Rue, Katharine, is there anything you want to add to that one?
Well, I think Isabelle captured it well, because I don't know as intimately as she does about the before and after the collaboration from a design process standpoint. But I will say that, we've done as an organization product collaborations with other brands before, and it might be a color up or a logo. This was entirely different. This was, deep in the design and in the process, as well as the accountability that goes along with it. So we were in meetings, we were meeting in person to the extent that we were able to. We were wrestling with supply chain issues. So it was shared, joy, but it was also shared responsibility. And one of the things I really appreciated that I had some anxiety about in the initial phases of the launch was, is this big company going to swallow me up? I'm a team of 3 people. But what they did, whether intentionally or organically, they shrunk their team to be the size of our team, even though there might have been hundreds of people working behind each person, which likely was true. We didn't feel overwhelmed. We were able to have the breathing room to make decisions, to not feel pressured, to, work at a cadence that was definitely, a very fast learning curve for us, but we were not bogged down with the kind of governance or oversight that you would expect from a company of their size. So they met us in the size without compromising the quality. And then over time, of course, I got to know many people who were a part of this journey. And, it has been an incredible learning journey with REI about not only what collaboration looks like, but how you can meet scale in the process itself.
Yeah, no, that's fantastic. Thank you. And I think the part about kind of shrinking the team is really interesting, because I'm not saying this applies to REI, but in any big organization with kind of established structures, when you start to put something through those, there's a lot of reasons not to do something, or there's a lot of reasons to kind of try and get something to conform to an existing way of working. The way that you're describing here, Isabelle, and that you've echoed, Rue, is that radical kind of reevaluation and re-architecting of all of the processes. That's what it takes to have something authentic make its way from the initial design intent right the way through to the finished product, right?
Absolutely.
Okay, awesome. So I think the video and the presentation have given us a good idea of where the relationship started. But I want to pick up on a little bit on what a collaboration this comprehensive, you just described, Rue, it's different from just artwork or some colorways. It's an entire collection. What a collaboration this kind of comprehensive and high profile, what do you think that means for the future at REI, the future Outdoor Afro, and for the wider industry? Because I don't know if you folks have had a chance to look at the comments, but you've got people from other communities sort of saying that they've experienced similar journeys where they did not feel represented, they didn't feel seen in the outdoors. So I think, I don't want to diminish the work here, but I do think there's a lot to take from it and to start support to creating possibilities for other communities as well.
I mean, from my perspective, that's my hope. It's like, I feel like just like nature, it's open source, the learning, and it's the way that will help contribute to a shift that hopefully will be not only permanent, but generative. I think that the biggest challenge that a lot of affinity-based organizations face is tokenization or seasonality. And what I feel has happened is we were able to not only demonstrate, how we could bring new, fresh design. I mean, if you look at the designs, they're not the typical outdoor uniform. They're not the ways that we've been told that we have to show up in the outdoors. So there's a lot of narrative changing. There's, of course, what Isabelle spoke to around process innovation. But we hope that whatever we experienced can be shared with others and further innovated so that more people have that welcome mat through design into outdoor experiences that express who they are without, confinement.
Yeah, no, that's a really awesome point. And Katharine, I particularly like what you said when you were talking about challenging and revalidating the fit standards, and how that's not something that then just gets put back in the box once this collection is over. That's something that becomes part of REI standard going forward. What does that look like for you? How do you see that kind of translating into more universality and accessibility?
So for us, yes, we keep it in our toolbox. We continue leveraging, the same fit models. Also, if we were to go into other areas of BIPOC, that we look really, do we represent all of them? And in the same format, continuously, as Isabelle was alluding to, asking us those tough questions. Who does this product right now, as we're going through the fit process, who does it not address? Who do we need to address? Who is in our, who's out there? Who do we want this product to be for? And so those are things we ask ourselves at all step of the way, going through not only the fit process, but the designers did the same thing, even when they started out designing. So it just became part of who we are and what we do.
And if I might add to that, I think to that same thought, we're thinking about that in terms of our product portfolio and product strategy. So, this was one distinct group of people whose needs were not being met. And it wasn't just one collection. We have a multi-year partnership. We're committed to expressing this in our portfolio and really, welcoming people, not just in a blip, but consistently. We've learned some incredible things from that collection launch, like color can sell. These fits can sell. And it was the freedom of this collaboration that allowed us to debunk some of those notions, which is then informing a lot of what we do on a regular basis. The other thing, just as we apply inclusive design thinking to not just product design or product development, but strategic thinking for the brand, we are evaluating every piece of our product portfolio through that lens. Is this going to be designed for a discrete community? If so, they better be in the room. The collaboration and the consultation should be there. And then if this is going to be better product for everyone, then how are we actually and truly considering everyone? That definition has changed for us. So when we think about core items and key essentials, it's not just like, well, the current customer who's buying this looks like it. That is not our mindset. Our mindset is, what communities will be participating, how will they be participating, and how might that inform an evolution of this product as we look to reset it? Are we considering people who have access issues, who may, have trouble zipping up a tent? So, the way that we approach everything from strategy all the way to commercializing and launching a product has really changed. The consideration set looks really different.
I think that's an awesome perspective. And I think as well, having the ability to roll that back to the design stage and having the ability to begin from that question of who is this for? And then we need to bring them in and we need to incorporate them in that full end-to-end process. Being able to challenge that right at the start, right from the inspiration stage where and then to cascade it through design, development, engineering, all the other multi-stack processes that, were compressed in this case, but there's a lot that it takes to bring a product to market and get it to the right people, at the right price point, the right time, and everything else. And that all starts at the beginning with the right vision of who it's for and including them in that process. I'm seeing some nodding. Good. Okay, that's encouraging. I guess my other question was maybe a bit of a functional one, thinking about the 3D side of things and the fit side of things, because Rue, in the video, you were talking about Black community needing outdoor gear that met their needs from a design perspective, but also from like a performance perspective as well. And I think that's an important thing to zero in on, because what you don't want to end up with is an offshoot collection that, for whatever reason, has a different aesthetic to it, but sacrifices on some performance capabilities or something along those lines. How did you go about making sure, and I guess this maybe more on the REI side, just because it's a technical development question, but how did you go about making sure you were able to blend the kind of the new design, the new aesthetic, the new fit models and everything else with the same performance standards that your products are known for?
Well, I can just maybe start the conversation by saying that the reason why I wanted to collaborate with REI is because I knew they brought the high technical standards that I felt the community that I was a part of deserved. We could have done a lot of different things before now, right? But I didn't want to compromise on performance, because yes, you can look good, but we want people to be dry when they want to be dry and warm when they want to be warm, and be able to move freely in their hiking pants. And I had been wearing a lot of different outdoor gear, including some REI gear, over many years. And, I could spend a lot of money and look terrible. And so I had the functionality, for the back country or even the front country, but I didn't feel good about how I looked. I couldn't translate that look into a cafe or a happy hour or a chat with the principal at school, that I might want to sandwich in between my outdoor fun. And so the functionality and style were really hand in hand with me. And I trusted REI to bring that standard, because I felt it would have been a disservice to go down this path and not offer the quality in performance that we champion and have experienced with other brands, but to do it with style was very important.
Literally the perfect answer. If there is anything that the REI folks want to add there, then you're welcome. No, we're good. All right, fine. I think so. My final kind of question would be, what do you think the relationship might be between kind of 3D, because we are at 3D Tech Fest, right? What do you think the relationship might be between 3D and digital product creation and this kind of inclusive, community-led, collaborative design? Do the two complement one another in any particular way? We've talked about fit, but I think just more broadly, what about working in 3D from the outset made this process work the way that it did?
I suppose I'll take that one since I'm the one working with my team in 3D. We're still a little bit on our beginning journey, but Outdoor Afro really provided that platform for us to really, challenge us deeper into that process and practice more with those, parametric avatars and just coming to life with coming in with 3 different design options, seeing them on the 3D, seeing what style lines do we want to use, how could color, present itself, and really going out and including the Outdoor Afro team. What do you think? Is this the way we want to go? And so, yes, 3D, I think, is a great way to use, especially in the beginning when you want to just vet different designs or color options, to really narrow it down so that in the end you can have focused prototyping. And that's really helped us tremendously in this work, staying on this condensed timeline. It just created, like I mentioned earlier, it's faster decision making. You can vet through things and really narrow it down, but starting broad, right? Which, let's face it, with normal sampling, prototyping, you just can't do that. But 3D really offers you that. And what's even more important, right? You're not only seeing it in that one size, you can see it in all sizes across the entire size range of how it really presents and how those style lines really look and how they, are flattering across the flattering or functional across the entire size range, not just the base size. So yes, 3D, super important. It's a great way to include and move forward with.
Yeah, I might add on to that from the strategic side too. Iteration is one pathway to innovation, and this work had to be iterative. It had to be adaptable. And so I think on the business side, while Rue was feeling a very small team, I was managing a very large organization in service of this effort that literally broke every notion. And so the ability to move really quickly and visualize things in a sophisticated way so we could bring along leadership and get people bought in on all the facets was a really powerful tool, especially when we were in the middle of COVID where we couldn't be together to work through it. So I would say that was one of our biggest enablers, that and the data that we had to really drive those decisions with confidence.
Amazing. I know we're a little short on time, so a final one would be, what's next for Outdoor Afro and REI separately and together?
Well, as Isabelle mentioned, the storyline continues with our collaboration. We are connected to one another through 24. And then it's been really beautiful to be able to build out an Outdoor Afro Incorporated team that's right now in the product research phase. And I'll just leave it right there. But good things,
cryptic. I like it.
Good things are coming, though, along the same lines of the informed design and helping people have less barriers to connect with outdoor experiences. And it's interesting because I feel like with REI, this experience that we've had, we're thinking about universality in a different way. Coming from the org side, which is so razor focused on the Black American community, we are really leaning more, I would say, into the universality of what we can offer the world. So I'm really thrilled. I'm continuing to work with Tae Kim, and we have a couple other folks, and we are very much in startup mode. But I have to say, I am so grateful for the wind at my back that make the dreams possible that REI was able to infuse into this moment of this next phase of Outdoor Afro.
Amazing. And I mean, as somebody who's spent like best part of 15 years in digital product, in or around digital product creation, like the inspiration from the last 45 minutes, you should see the notes I was making when you guys were talking just about rethinking the way that I've been thinking about doing things. I think we're good. I think we do need to move into the next session. As much as I love this one, I could prolong it for a while. I want to thank Rue. I want to thank Katharine. I want to thank Isabelle for joining and sharing the story. I'm sure the community's got a bunch of questions for you. That doubtless there's plenty on YouTube and Slack as well. But from my perspective, I'm going to be keenly watching for what you guys all do next together.